Hello and welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, always powered by Harper's Tree and Stump Removal. If you have any tree trimming, stump removal, or tree removal needs, our friends at Harper's Tree and Stump Removal have you covered. They can also haul rock and sand. They can do driveway work and can now do horizontal grinding of large wood debris piles. Give our friend Keith Wooldridge a call at 229 314 2048 or at 229-938-2412. Harper's Tree and Stump Removal is proud to be the premier sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, covering local sports in the Southwest Georgia area, creating content that is factual, positive, and informative, promoting efforts by athletes, coaches, and sports administrators. Now, here's your host, Tim Estes.
Thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. If you're watching today on YouTube, make sure and hit the subscribe button. If you're watching us on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or X, which used to be Twitter, make sure and hit the like button and share this video with your friends. We encourage you to pass this along and help us build our viewership. Our guest today is a longtime colleague of mine. He is a former recreation professional over in Berrien County, but for the last few years has been the head football coach over at Valwood in Valdosta, and recently claimed the GIAA Class AAA state championship, put an end to a long winning streak that John Milledge had. That's Coach Brad Wells. Coach, glad to have you with me.
Hey, Tim, thanks for having me.
Brad, usually I start these things out by going backwards and getting a coach to tell me about their background. But before we do that this week, man, you guys had such an awesome run at the end of your season. And I want to get started by first just saying a big congratulations. Your football team winning the Class AAA state championship there in GIAA. You put a stop to the nation's longest winning streak. I think John Milledge had won 62 straight games. And somehow, some way, your guys came out with a 42-21 win. I want you to talk a little bit about your team and what a big time it's been around Valwood.
Yeah, man, just extremely proud of the group of kids. You know, it started during the summer, and getting them in here and just seeing the buy-in. I met with our group of seniors before we did our first team meeting this summer, and they laid out some goals. They wanted to win a region championship, and they wanted to win a state championship. And that group of seniors have been through a lot. You know, when they were in 7th grade, they saw Valwood play for a state championship, and the program had kind of trended backwards. They won 3 games as freshmen. They won 3 games as sophomores. Last year we were 7-5 and lost pretty handedly to John Milledge in the semifinals. So for them to have such lofty goals, I thought that was advantageous of them as a group. But that group, when we started this summer, man, they weren't like any normal group of seniors. They were the guys leading. A lot of times you see seniors, they've kind of got one foot in to the sport and they've got one foot out as they're looking forward to the next phase of life. But this group of seniors, they led by example. They worked their tails off, and they led us the right way. And we had a great summer. I thought coming out of the summer, I felt really good about where we were at, and it carried over into our preseason scrimmage and culminated a few Thursday nights ago at 5 Star Stadium in Macon. We were able to take down JMA.
Brad, now I want to go backwards. And, you know, when we talk to most coaches and look at what got them to the point they're at now, you look at the time they spent as assistant coaches and really cutting their teeth. You and I got started basically the same way. We were in the recreation level, dealing with community recreation, and that's unconventional when you talk about all the educators that we normally talk to. But tell me about your background and what led you to Valwood.
Well, I'll start all the way back. So I played football, baseball, basketball at Berrien County High School, and I was in the inaugural signing football class at Shorter College, which is now Shorter University. I went up there, wasn't a great fit, moved back home, went to VSU my first year. While I was at VSU, I heard they were looking for a part-time recreation employee in Nashville. So I went and I worked part-time under King Bridges, who is one of my best friends to this day. But at that time, he was just a boss, and I didn't realize what type of impact he would have on my career moving forward. But went in there and worked part-time there, transferred to ABAC. So then I left there and ended up working a part-time job up there, and then ended up I missed the rec business. So I got back into rec, started another part-time job as I was continuing through school. A full-time job came open. It was going to be a programmer position, and had a decision to make. So I decided to had a young kid at the time. I decided to take the full-time position there, and continued my education online. So the program I worked that for, I think, 3 years, and then the assistant director position came open, and then eventually became rec director I was rec director in Berrien County for about 18 months. While I was working there, part-time programmer and assistant director, I coached. I coached at least 2 teams per sports season. So that means I was coaching 2 football teams. During basketball season, I was coaching 2 basketball teams. During baseball season, in addition to my job, I was coaching 2 baseball teams. And typically every year I would coach an all-star team as well. So I was coaching upwards of 9 teams a year. That kind of parlayed into while I was still doing recreation, I started doing a local travel baseball team in Berrien County too, and made for some. And at that point, it was really about making those teams better for recreation all-stars. And once I got out of recreation, some things changed in my life. So I transitioned out of recreation and was working in telemedicine. And while doing that, I continued to volunteer and coach in recreation, and started a travel baseball organization, which grew a ton. It was a lot. It ended up being a lot bigger than what we envisioned it being. But then I also started community coaching and coaching middle school football in Berrien County, and I couldn't commit to doing varsity stuff because of the job, but I was doing middle school football, and then I was doing I would help them on Friday nights. I was in the booth on a headset on Friday night. So that, athletics has always been and sports in general has always been a big part of what I've done, and I think coaching it gives me a different perspective having the recreation background and coaching kids. I've coached 5- and 6-year-old coach pitch all the way to now varsity football. So, and I'm a parent. I think being a parent gives you a different perspective too. I've got 5 kids, so having all that and having the different perspectives of them at different ages has really made me into who I am as a person and as a coach.
We're talking with Brad Wells, the head football coach at Valwood School. Our show each week is also brought to you by Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance. They're located at 925 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Americus. You can reach them at 229-928-3686. Drop by and see Marty, Mary Lynn, or any of their staff and let them discuss your insurance needs. They can even do the now famous discount double check to ensure that you're receiving all of the savings that are available to you. Thanks to Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance for sponsoring this segment of the Integrity Sports Podcast. And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Coach, I thought one of the interesting things about your staff this year, one of the people on your staff I think is pretty well known in our area, and that's Archer Hathaway, who played his high school football just up the road in Sly County. He's always been a very mature young man. Tell us about what Archer does there at Valwood and the relationship that you have with him.
Well, Archer was a blessing to our football team this year, and getting him in, he was a huge part of the success we had. He coached our offensive line. It's a small world. His dad, Adam Hathaway, was the offensive line coach at Berrien when I was in high school. So we had that prior relationship, but speaking to his maturity, he could have had Dad reach out to me and say, "Hey, do you have anything? Archer wants to get into coaching." But I never talked to Adam Hathaway. Archer actually sent me a message on social media and said, "Hey, Coach, I'd like to meet with you." So he came in and met with me. At the time, we thought we had a offensive line coach lined up. So he just wanted any position. He just wanted to be around it and try to begin getting his foot in the door. And it actually fell through with the guy that was going to do offensive line for us. And he ended up kind of getting thrust into a role I don't think he was, I'm not going to say prepared for, but it wasn't what he was really looking for. He just wanted something small, and he ended up being our offensive line coach. And man, our offensive line was the strength of our offense. He done a great job with them. Speaking to, I think to him and what I think his future is as a coach, we had 4 seniors on that offensive line, and Archer's only 21 years old, but he had full respect of that room and every one of those kids. I mean, he coached them hard and they responded to him. I think it speaks back to that group of seniors and just what they wanted out of this season, but it also speaks to him. And I think his upside is immense as a football coach moving forward.
Brad, I want to talk about a few guys, and I'm going to call some names out here. As you know, our show is based, while it covers all of Southwest Georgia, it's really based in the greater Americus area. And there are some guys down there that have Americus ties. One of those guys is your head of school at Valwood, John Davis. He's the son of former Americus Superintendent Spencer Davis. He's done a great job at Valwood, and I'm sure it's a pleasure to work for a guy like that.
It is, man. Mr. Davis has been great to work for from my first day here, and he's been ultra supportive. When I took over as head football coach, I mean, he hadn't told me no about anything I've asked for, which is rare. I mean, he's an old coach though, so he's got that coach background, and just great guy to work for. These at football in general, but athletics as a whole are important to him, and he's just great to his staff and just like I said, just a great guy to work for here.
There's another guy that's down there. I think he's the dean of your lower school, Mr. Gary Glover. Gary and I cut our teeth together. He and I used to do play-by-play football on the radio for Americus High School. And, man, I really like Gary Glover. It's got to be a lot of fun working with him.
It is, man. He's he's the dean of the lower school. I've got 2 kids in that lower school, so we have a relationship with that. But he's also just a retired coach and a big football guy. He loves to just come down, and he'll pop his head in my office, and he'll come in here and we'll talk football for 15, 20 minutes every so often. But he also drives our bus on Friday night, so he's always driving the bus that I'm on. So on the way to and from, me and him have a lot of great football conversations, and I love to just pick him and get old stories out of him. He's great to work with as well.
Hey, another guy in your area that I know you have built a little bit of a relationship with, Chuck Knapp, the head coach and AD over at Georgia Christian School. He and I have a relationship from back in our days at Faulkner University, but got to be a lot of fun being in the same town with a guy like Chuck.
It is, and he's brought a lot of insight. He's been a guy I could lean on, and we've had a lot of great conversations, and we played them this season, and he does a good job over there at Georgia Christian.
Brad, our program every week is also brought to people by One Digital Solutions. They are a steward of business growth and personal development. Their insurance, financial, and HR platforms provide you with a personalized tech-enabled solution for a contemporary work-life experience. One Digital resolves real problems for your business and employees by fusing together customized solutions that address things like employee benefits, HR, and financial services. It's really everything all in one. It's One Digital. Contact Will Peterson at 229-347-6289. One Digital, a proud sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Brad, many times when somebody wins a state championship, the cabinet kind of goes empty. You build for that 1 year and you win it, and then you got to start over, especially in the lower school, the smaller school, the GIAA, the Class A, and maybe even AA. We just rely so much on those guys. Now that Valwood has won the state championship, what's the situation look like for next season and in the future?
I spoke on the 4 seniors on the offensive line. We'll really miss them. They really set the tone for us offensively up front. So we return a very talented sophomore. We'll move actually a sophomore that played on the defensive line a year ago over there to the offensive line. But we'll be rebuilding the offensive line. Offensive skill wise, we'll return 3 of our primary 4 skill guys. We will lose DeMar Riley, who accounted for 2,200 yards this year, all-purpose yards, and 23 touchdowns. So it'll be a blow losing him and just his big play ability. But I think we're in good shape there. We return sophomore quarterback Tate Snellgrove, junior running back Tristan White, and talented freshman running back / receiver, just athlete, Marquise Fennell, who had 22 touchdowns this year as a freshman for us. So he's a big-time guy and going to be a bigger-time guy for us moving forward.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Defensively, we'll return 8 guys on defense. So we're going the 3 guys we'll lose are 3 of our top 4 tacklers, though. Dallas Hatfield, David Griffin at linebacker, and Landon Ryan, who played pony in our defense. We're 3-3 stack, so it's kind of like a strong safety position essentially. But he was Landon was a big-time special teams guy for us as well. We'll miss those 3 guys, but returning 8 guys off what we felt like was a pretty talented defense. We feel like we're in good shape. We got some guys that we're excited about coming in and filling those roles.
So when do you guys start working toward next year? Do you give them a little time off to enjoy this, where they play other sports, or do you take a week off and start working again?
So weight room wise, we're back at it already, and we never really stopped. We jumped back in the week following. This past week we did. We actually got out of school yesterday, so this week we maxed out so we could kind of view the gains that we've made throughout the season and go ahead and set up our program for the spring. But as far as with us being a small school, we're about 160 kids total in our upper school, so we have to share kids with other sports. So football wise, we'll try to get a spring in. Last year we weren't able to because our baseball team made a run to the Final Four. We've already got I think 6 or 7 football guys playing basketball. A lot of those guys will be playing baseball as well, or running track, or playing soccer. We've got football guys that are already wrestling. So we share a lot of guys more so than a lot of your bigger schools. So this past year, we didn't get back to actual football as a team until June. So it'll really just depend on what kind of runs those spring sports get in. But we'll do some individual training with position groups. I'm sure they'll do some DB training, receiver. We'll throw some during the spring with our quarterback and receiver. Our quarterback doesn't play baseball, so we'll be able to get him out, and that's a point of emphasis for us as a team. We want to be better throwing the football next year, and that falls back on me. We got to be better throwing it. We got to be better at receiver with our route concepts and creating separation. All of the above, we've got to be better, but that's a point of emphasis going into next year. Is we want to be more balanced and be able to throw the football more.
Brad, you guys are in a region with teams like Southland Academy. They're led by a very good coach in Rod Murray. You got Tift Area Academy in that region with the legendary coach Eric Soliday, Bill Murdoch up at Terrell Academy. So a lot of strong coaches, a lot of strong programs. Talk to me a little bit about the relationships that you have with those guys and what it's like to play in such a tough region.
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize when I took over as head football coach the amount of experienced head coach we had in this region. And I think I looked one day and it's like a combined 105 years of head coaching experience amongst the guys in our region. With me being the new guy and the young guy in the region, I'll tell you, man, all of those guys have just been great to work with. Very welcoming. Coach Boggs down at Brookwood as well. Just a great group of coaches and better men, just to work with and develop those relationships with. I couldn't be happier with the way they brought me in and welcomed me to this region.
Good deal. Brad, we're also brought to people each week by All South Appraisals. They're the trusted partner in appraising rural properties. They can handle all types of properties, whether that's agricultural, commercial, or residential. All South Appraisals has a commitment to accuracy and a dedication to the unique nuances of rural properties, and that's what sets them apart. They blend modern technology with old-fashioned attention to detail. So whether you're a lender, an attorney, an accountant, a real estate agent, a broker, or a property owner, give All South Appraisals a call. Their number is 478-837-3818. All South Appraisals, another proud sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Brad, as we wrap this thing up today, one of the things that I've made a practice of doing each week is talking to our guest about that support network behind the scenes, your family, your friends. We know the job that you have is under a lot of scrutiny, and you hear those parents in the stands sometimes. But tell me about your family and friends, those folks that lift Brad Wells up.
Well, I think number one would be my wife. You know, we've got 5 kids, so she sacrifices a lot during especially in season with having to pick up and basically play 2 roles while I'm tied in with football. But her passion for the program and for the job that I do, that it means so much to me. I mean, you know, I had people ask me after the state championship game, did I ever come to tears? Did I ever get emotional? And you know, on the field, I never did. She was emotional, and I was on the bus ride home, and her sister had actually videoed her as the final clock was ticking down, and like seeing her come to tears and overcome by emotions. It just, man, it hit me on the bus ride home just how important it was to her, and how important she is to me, and making this possible for me to be able to do this with us having the big family. And just so thankful for her and all the sacrifices she makes. But you know, my brother, he does play-by-play for us, and that's important to me, having him there, and for him to be a part of this with me. Sister, my parents have been super supportive and followed us through the playoffs, and my kids, they sacrifice a lot. You know, Dad, I'm not there a lot during the weekend season. It's late when I get home. I try to make the most of that time, but man, just seeing how much it means to me, to them, you know, running off the field, my 4th grader, he just run up to me, and I think he gave me the biggest hug I think he's ever given me after we won that state championship game. And just that meant as much to me as a score on the scoreboard, and just seeing how excited they were for what we had accomplished this year.
Brad, I remember when you and I were kind of cutting our teeth in recreation together when some of your kids were born, and what a big moment that was for you. So it's been a lot of fun to watch those guys grow up. A lot of that has been on social media, but we certainly want to thank you for being our guest today. It's really neat to follow you on social media and to know that one of our own is excelling and doing well in your career. And I hope you'll come back and be a part of this periodically and kind of keep us up with what's going on there at Valwood School.
Absolutely, Tim. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. We want to thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Please hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, like and share this video on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or X. We had over 2,000 views last week, so we're in the average of around 1,800 per week. Brad, make sure all your friends down there in the Valdosta area share this. But for my good friend Brad Wells, I'm Tim Estes. Thanks for watching.